Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the April 23rd, 2024 meeting of Pequannock Township Council. Ms. Marsh.
In accordance with the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which was filed in the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, published as a legal notice in the Suburban Trends and Daily Record newspapers, and distributed to all persons requesting notice in accordance with Township policy.
Thank you. Please join me in Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer and a moment of thanks for individuals serving our nation. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most gracious Providence, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and the general welfare for all of the people of Pequannock Township. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Ms. Marsh, please call the roll.
Mr. Dracy?
Present.
Mrs. Florence Lynch? Here. Mr. Cole?
Here.
Mrs. Russell?
Here.
Mayor Hurd?
I am here. Excellent. There are no presentations scheduled for this evening. At this time, are there reports or comments from any of the volunteers serving our community? I'm guessing no. Seeing none, next on the agenda is public comments. Public comment period will be limited to a total of 30 minutes. An additional period for public comment is reserved later in the meeting. Individuals are requested to limit their questions and comments to 3 minutes. If anybody wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized to come to the microphone and provide your name for the record. Anybody? Okay, seeing none, we will continue with the agenda. Okay, welcome to the public hearing for the 2024 municipal budget. Before the hearing is open, Resolution R 2024-109, which provides for the budget to be read by title, will need to be adopted. Is there a motion to adopt this resolution?
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution R 2024-109.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dracy?
Yes.
Mrs. Florence Lynch? Yes. Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mrs. Russell?
Yes. Mayor
Hurd?
Yes. Mr. Brewer, do you have any comments before the opening of the hearing?
There was a presentation made on March 12th on the budget when it was introduced and technically initially approved by the governing body. Total current fund appropriations of $21,804,379 are balanced in the current fund. The three utilities are all balanced. The impact on the municipal tax levy of 3% represents a $56 increase on the average assessed home, which is $549,346 in 2024. As discussed on the 12th, the approach to the budget in Pequannock Township is a good one. Many hands make light work. So from the staff that's involved with the initial requests all the way up through the division and department heads, the meetings with the council, Julie Kuplik, Township's Chief Financial Officer, is with us this evening. There's a lot of people involved, but it's a pretty good process, and I appreciate everyone from his line staff all the way through the governing body's participation in getting the 2024 budget to this point.
Thank you, Mr. Brewer. Appreciate that. Are there any comments from council? Questions, comments, anything on the budget?
No, just everybody worked hard to get the budget to where it is. So good job.
Yes, it was. A lot of things. All right, is there a motion to open the public hearing of the 2024 municipal budget?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
If anyone in the audience has questions or comments on this budget, please come to the microphone and identify yourself for the record. Nobody's excited about the budget. Come on up.
Hi, good evening. Megan Dempsey, Pompton Plains. So, the one question I had, and it was partially addressed in the kind of narrative comments that I saw were in the agenda, but there was a substantial increase, as far as I could tell, in 2023 from what was anticipated, the anticipated revenues, and then the realized revenues. And I noticed that there were comments that a lot of it, like over $400,000, was because of interest on deposits, so increased interest rates, which is a good thing. We're making more money off of that. And the recommendation was to continue to be conservative on the revenue from interest on investments and deposits. So I see that this year, or going into 2024, was budgeted conservatively at $140,000 compared to the over $400,000 I think that was realized in 2023. So my question, though, is what happens to that surplus that was realized over what was anticipated? Does that get moved into like a reserve account? Is it put into capital? Is it already allotted to expenditures in the current year as it was realized, as it was accumulated? Is it like a retirement account where it stays there in case things fluctuate and then you lose it again? So I was just curious about that because it looked like it was about a $384,000 difference in interest earned, and I'm curious if that's being then put towards something in the current year or future years. And then I just noticed, I was looking through the 6-year and the 3-year capital improvement recommendations, and I see that kind of projecting out is our turf fields for Greenview. So I was curious, this is the first I'm hearing of that. I was curious if that was a request coming from organizations that we have those available, maybe to alleviate use on other fields or something like that, where that's coming from. And I see that I don't think it's budgeted for until at least 2025 or possibly not until 2026, as well as the artificial turf infield at Washington Park 1. So I just hope that we're going to see a lot of research and discussion with the Flood Commission, the Environmental Commission, regarding that plan, because that's a big move and a big change for our parks. And I would like to see a lot of community input in that and research done into it, because there is a very sort of shifting landscape in terms of public sentiment around turf, and sides that feel very strongly one way or the other, and I think it's really important to get a lot of input and make sure that a lot of research is done on that issue. And then my last comment was just regarding the revenue realized from return back funds from the library. So my understanding is that what is in this budget is a previous return back, or from a previous year, not the amount that has been under discussion at current library meetings. I'm very concerned about that, because it seems like this is now a trend of the council seeking to take funding back from the library, given the recent roadblocks that have been thrown up on any sort of capital advancements or innovation that the library is trying to do. I'm really concerned about this, what appears to be a trend of let's take money back from the library. So you've obviously been hearing a lot of public comments about that and speaking about that, and I hope we're not going to see that this becomes an annual trend in the budget. Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
So, Mr. Mayor, if I may respond to the questions that were posed. So an under-anticipated revenue, or a revenue that's realized beyond which is anticipated to balance the budget, lapses to fund balance. So if you look toward the top of the revenue page in the exhibits that are included on the packet, you will see that the township is utilizing $2.265 million of fund balance to support the 2024 budget. So it just essentially goes into a savings account that can be used for future budgets.
Thank you.
If you review the slide presentation from the 12th of March, you'll also note that the township's fund balance trajectory is going in a positive direction, supporting the credit rating increase that we received to be stable and supportive and have rainy day funds, if you will. With respect to the turf, we have a very ambitious public works director that has an extraordinarily long wish list. $7.14 million of requests were made just for 2024 appropriations. So that is something that he has kicked around along with a number of different areas. It's a wish list for planning purposes. At each year, there's significant discussion given to it, and oftentimes things of that magnitude are pushed off because of additional priorities. So that is a wish list that I will attribute it to a very ambitious director of public works. So that's a staff-generated item.
7.4 million.
7.14 million just for this
1 year.
And we did 1.4.
Correct.
In capital.
And then lastly, with respect to the library return fund balance, that was returned in 2023 and is being utilized as required to support the 2024 municipal budget.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Is there a motion to close the public hearing on the 2024 municipal budget?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dracy?
Yes.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mrs. Russell?
Yes.
Mayor Hurd.
Yes. Next on the agenda is the adoption of the 2024 municipal budget. Are there any further comments, Mr. Brewer?
Unless there are questions, I have nothing further.
Any other questions from council?
No.
All right. Is there a motion to adopt Resolution R 2024-110, adopting the 2024 municipal budget?
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Dracy?
Yes.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mrs. Russell?
Yes.
Mayor Hurd.
Yes. Next on the agenda is the manager's report. Mr. Brewer, you're up again.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So first thing in my written report is the budget, so thank you very much. It is a woohoo moment for me. It's always a big event when we get to this stage in the budget process. So again, I thank everybody for their participation and their efforts. With respect to the balance of the items covered in my written report that pertain to legislative action that is scheduled for the council's consideration, I'll just take them in order. We have a public hearing and potential adoption of a new policy in dealing with mailboxes that are damaged during snow plowing operations. We have ordinance 2024-11 for potential introduction, which is the Gen Cap ordinance, which correlates to the plan that was identified for items of expenditure in 2024. This creates the appropriation, which then can be spent following adoption. We have ordinance 2024-12, which is the water utility capital budget. Again, that corresponds to the plan that was identified during, within the budget documents. We have two salary ordinances, as we do annually. This is the legislative authority and the legislative action for the salaries to be paid for the non-represented employees for ordinance 2024-13, and anything that is changed is identified in bold.
Right.
And then with respect to ordinance 2024-14, it is a salary ordinance for those individuals covered by the PBA SOA agreement. It's debatable whether we need to do this because it's subject to a collective negotiating agreement, but I like to do it because it just covers everything and buttons it up tightly, and it articulates the ranges for the police officers for the duration of the current contract.
Thank you, sir.
If there's any questions, that concludes my report.
Council, any questions?
No.
Seeing none. All right, next on the agenda is public hearing on ordinance number 2024-10. Ms. Marsh.
Ordinance number 2024-10 is an ordinance amending Chapter 312 of the Code of the Township of Pequannock and establishing a policy for reimbursement for mailboxes damaged by township vehicles.
Are there any comments from the council?
Not that we didn't talk about before.
Yeah, we spoke about it at length. Is there a motion to open to public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
If anyone in the audience has questions or comments on this ordinance, please come to the microphone and identify yourself for the record. Nobody interested in mailboxes. All right. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number 2024-11.
10.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one.
getting ahead of
2024-10.
Excellent. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Dracy?
No.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mrs. Russell?
No.
Mayor Hurd.
Yes. Oh, I broke a tie. All right, next on the agenda is the introduction of ordinances. Mrs. Marsh.
Ordinance 2024-11 is an ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the Township of Pequannock in the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, and appropriating the sum of $1,379,350 for financing thereof.
Thank you. Mr. Brewer, are there any comments?
As has been the tradition for a long time, this is an ordinance that includes fully funded cash capital, does not include borrowing, thereby saving residents the additional cost associated with interest.
Thank you. Are there any comments from council? Questions? None? Is there a motion to introduce this ordinance on first reading?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Dracy?
Yes.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mrs. Russell?
Yes.
Mayor Hurd.
Yes. All right, next on the agenda, introduction of ordinance number 2024-12. Ms. Marsh.
Ordinance 2024-12 is an ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the Township of Pequannock Water Utility in the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, and appropriating the sum of $232,000 for financing thereof.
Thank you. Mr. Brewer.
Nothing unless there's questions.
Are there any comments from council? council?
Nope.
Any questions? Nothing? Is there a motion to introduce this ordinance on first reading?
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance number 2024-12.
Can I get a second?
John's got it.
John's got it. Roll call.
Mr. Dracy?
Yes.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mrs. Russell?
Yes.
Mayor Hurd?
Yes. All right, next on the agenda is introduction of ordinance number 2024-13. Ms. Marsh.
Ordinance 2024-13 is an ordinance establishing minimum and maximum salaries and pay rates for designated officials and employees of the Township of Pequannock.
Excellent. Mr. Brewer, are there any comments?
Nothing further unless there are questions.
Are there any comments from council?
Nope.
Seeing none, is there a motion to introduce this ordinance on first reading?
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Roll call.
He got it.
I know. Thank you. Mr. Dracy?
Yes.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mrs. Russell?
Yes.
Mayor Hurd?
Yes, this is as exciting as watching paint dry. Next on the agenda is introduction of ordinance number 2024-14. Ms. Marsh.
I found that exciting. Ordinance 2024-14 is an ordinance fixing the salaries and compensation of the paid police officers of the Township of Pequannock for the period January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2027.
Excellent. Mr. Brewer, any comments?
Paychecks are important.
Yes, they are, especially for our boys in blue. Is there any comments from council?
Nope.
None? Is there a motion to introduce this ordinance on first reading?
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance number 2024-14.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Dracy?
Yes.
Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
No, I mean, I'll abstain. I'll abstain.
Yep, hold on. Mrs. Russell?
Yes.
Mayor Hurd?
Yes. All right, next on the agenda is resolutions. Mrs. Marsh.
Council's consideration, we have Resolution R 2024-111, authorizing tax office refunds, overpayments, or cancellations, and R 2024-112, approving payment of the itemized claims as set forth on the April 18th, 2024 bill list and 2018 FEMA elevation escrow list.
Thank you. Are there any comments on the resolutions from council? Seeing none, is there a motion to adopt these resolutions?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolutions 2024-111 and 2024-112.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Dracy?
Can I say yes to one and no to the other?
Sure.
Yes.
Yes to 112, no to 111.
Okay.
Hold on a minute. No. Yes. Mrs. Florence Lynch?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Mrs. Russell?
Yes.
Mayor Hurd?
Yes. There are no items for discussion. There are no reports or notices. So now, next on the agenda is council reports and announcements. Councilman Dracy.
Howdy ho. Thank you, Mayor. The one committee that met was the Shade Tree Committee. Haven't met in a couple of months, but I guess the one question that weren't clear on, because one of the members wasn't there, is what is the latest, Mr. Brewer, with the tree grant and planting the trees, ordering the trees?
Good question.
I know we were trying to do that this spring, but I haven't heard.
Yeah, my understanding was happening this spring. I'll have to check with
Okay,
staff.
can you check and find out? Because we don't know, and there's been questions, so.
Sure.
I'd just like to just congratulate all the members of the town, especially Miss Julie, and about the whole budget setup. It was
Oh, she left.
a big job. Mr. Brewer, But no, thank you for getting through. It was a lot of tough decisions to make with not a lot of funds. Saturday was a Little League parade. I'm glad the rain held out, but the highlight of the parade was the young lady that sang the national anthem.
She was awesome.
She did it last year, too.
Yeah, I know. Unbelievable. She's got an awesome voice. So thank you very much for doing that. And that's about it for me.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Councilwoman Florence Lynch.
Couple things. Well, I'll also say that the Little League opening day was great, and the singer was phenomenal. She hit every note perfectly. And also, kudos to everyone on the budget. It was a tough one this year, but we got through it. Economic Development, that committee will be meeting here tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. And I also got word there will be a ribbon cutting on Saturday, May 4th at 11 a.m. at M. Shamel Photography, located at 129 Newark Pompton Turnpike.
May the 4th be with you.
And that'll be at 11 a.m. Let's see, what else? So I put all this stuff together. Let's see what else is here. We are working on a new date for rescheduling the Morris County Senior and Veterans ID event. It had to be canceled and postponed because of a glitch in the county system, but it is now up and running, and we will, or something with the software or something, but we are coming up with a new date that we'll get it going as soon as possible and get the word out. Let's see what else. A couple of things I said I would mention. Our DISC 55 Senior Activity Group, they are hosting and running a country dinner dance on Saturday, May 18th. They asked me if I would just mention it. It is on Facebook and there's flyers around. It's Saturday, May 18th at the Knights of Columbus in Pequannock, but it's open to all ages, so it's not just a senior event. Pequannock Valley Rotary is hosting a spring luncheon also for township seniors, and that'll be May 8th. But you do have to register, sign up ahead of time, either at the senior house or call the number on the flyer. Dial a Ride will also do transportation if seniors need it, but you have to call and reserve. That's going to be at Friendship Hall, May 8th from 12 to 2. And I told PV Rotary I'd mention this other fundraiser. This Saturday? No, it's not this Saturday. Saturday, May 18th, there is a garage, I guess it's a yard sale happening at the Lincoln Park PAL building. And there's flyers around for that, if people would like to attend that. What else do I have? And I know the Pathways, Pequannock Township Historical Society, the Pathways that they do every year. It's a tour of all the museums. There's a road map to visit all these museums that'll be open on Sunday, May 5th. And I believe the Martin Berry House is supposed to be open that day.
All right.
As an open house from 12 to 5. So that would be a great day to get out and see what the Martin Berry House has to offer these days. They did a lot of work. It's a Morris County-wide event from May 4th and 5th from 12 to 5. And I believe, I had the open house as May 5th, so I don't know if it's open. I don't know if you guys know if that's open both days or just May 5th, but the Martin Berry House. What else do I have? Anything else? I think that is it for me right now.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman. Councilman Cole.
Thank you. Company 2 met on Thursday, April 11th. I handed out the awards for the number of firemen that received a certain level of years of service. They were very appreciative of council for doing that. On April 18th, I attended a ribbon cutting at Chilton for their new cardiac cath and radiology lab. It was a great presentation by the head of that department. There's only one other hospital in Texas that has the equipment that new lab has. They pretty much had to do it, buy the equipment via Zoom because it's so new. But it looks like a great new facility, a new room for Chilton. The one doctor said, that if they were doing a procedure and they found out that they needed to do a stint, he would have to stop doing what he was doing, stitch the patient up, move the patient to Morristown. Later in the afternoon, he'd go to Morristown to take care of the procedure. Now he said, I can do that right in this room at Chilton. So kudos to everyone involved at that for Chilton. The Little League Parade was a huge success. I just want to say thank you to all the coaches, the Little League board for all they do, and to all the players, softball and baseball. Have a great season, and most important is have fun. And then on April 17th, I was recognized recognized by the Friends of Education of Morris County at an award, and I was honored to accept that award. It was very well attended, and you hear there were 7 other people. You hear some of these other things that some of these people do, and you're like, wow, I'm not even doing that much. So, but it was a great event, and that's all I have.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Me?
Councilwoman Russell, please.
First of all, congratulations, Dave. And I also have to add in, at Little League, somebody else was honored, okay, because of John's devotion.
Yes.
It's going to be etched in stone,
It's going to be etched. He's going to have his name on a lot of people. John sits here very quietly. The amount of stuff that John does, that he does not tout his own horn, is unbelievable. I'll tout it for you. He is a very selfless individual that gives to so many people. Okay. You're done. You're done now. I know. You're going to get mad at me, but it's true. Library roof is just about done. We're just waiting on the gutters and leaders.
Yeah, they've been hammering away. I've been watching them from the back of my house. They're doing a great job.
And I know somebody came in and said that there was leaks in another roof, and I confirmed that that is not true.
Okay.
So that was good. I also confirmed that nothing was cut as to what projects or things they wanted to do. That was also another not true thing that was done. Next meeting is May 15th. Come on out. Saturday is the Environmental Commission Bio Blitz. It's fun. So session 1 starts at 8 a.m. sharp. You're going to follow a naturalist around Woodland Lake and identify and log birds, other animals, and plants. And then there's a second session at 9:30, which is more kid-oriented. Kids and adults are going to discover macroinvertebrates living in Myers Brook. And also you're going to have a casual version of session 1. All is going to be met in PV Park parking lot on Marvin Road. All ages are welcome, but a minor must be with an adult. Walk-ins are accepted, but if you're going and you know you're going, please email the Environmental Commission at ptec@peqtwp.org. I had a Morris County Preservation meeting. Our next one is going to be May 7th. A lot of different towns, a lot of different ideas on how to best take care of the money that you bought with the open space. So we don't meet again here till the 14th, so I want to wish everybody a happy Mother's Day in advance.
Yes.
It's
And
like
that's
3
it.
weeks till we meet again.
Kyle, I rode by the library, and I would think if there is anything going on with that small section of roof, the AC unit sits right on top of that.
Well, yeah.
And that, that AC unit could be leaking.
Well, nothing's
following the ductwork in, and of course, it's going to appear to be a roof leak, but
nothing's leaking.
I would check the AC before I check the roof if there is any problems in the future.
But there is not, and I asked the director, and she said, no, it's not leaking at all.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Okay. Again, opening day at Little League, that was phenomenal. I mean, I love Little League. I love the opening. That's kind of spring. You hear the crack of the bats. I have a couple of ball fields behind me, so it's phenomenal. I just love that. And of course, you watch the little kids, and as we stand there and we're looking at the little ones, they're like the size of a Tic Tac. And we're remembering when our kids were in it, and now they're all older. But I love Little League. I want to thank all the volunteers, all the coaches, everybody that puts this thing together is a volunteer. And it's amazing. We've got 400 and I think they said 60 or 470 kids this year. So great numbers. I really appreciate everything that they do, and I know it ain't easy. John, you were on the board. You also did your time in Little League. I did my time, and it's fun. It's enjoyable. But congratulations, sir. I want to give a pre-shout out because this Sunday we have another Eagle Scout from Troop 144, Dominic Giosi. Congratulations. He's going to officially become Eagle Scout this Sunday at 3 o'clock. It's very exciting. I mean, our town, the Troop 144 has produced more Eagle Scouts per capita than any other group in the United States. It is amazing. You've got to see the literature. It's double-sided, names all over the place. It's great. They're doing something good, and I really appreciate it. Again, another group that's all volunteers. School, music, and bands. We have a bunch of stuff coming up, which is very exciting. If you want, the spring concert is Wednesday, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Of course, they're going to be performing in the Memorial Day Parade, which is Monday, May 27th. The marching band is performing at the New York Yankees Stadium, Tuesday, June 4th. Are you going to be there? I'm going to be there. You going? Hopefully that's a yes.
I spend a lot of my time at Yankee Stadium.
I know. But that's one. I can't wait to see the marching band. Our own marching band, Pequannock High School Marching Band, on the field of the Yankee Stadium. This weekend is the spring musical. It's Beauty and the Beast. I'm sure you've seen the signs all over town. April 25th and 26th starts at 7 p.m. Saturday the 27th starts at 3 p.m. Sunday. No, Saturday, right? 25, 26.
I think it's Friday and Saturday night and then Sunday, isn't it?
No, Thursday, Friday. So Thursday and Friday at 7 p.m. Saturday is 3 p.m.
Oh, jeez.
Beauty and the Beast, that's excellent. Again, I want to thank everybody, Mr. Brewer, and everybody on staff that has put together everything for our budget. You know, it takes months, like literally 6 months. You have 6 months that you have to get all this information together, and then you have 6 months off. But I believe you're already planning for it, so that's
Take a
great.
couple months off, we start the summer.
And thank you for everybody on council. You know, we have to make hard decisions sometime, but we do what we have to do. So, there we go. Next on the agenda is public comment. If anybody wishes to address the council, please wait to be recognized to come to the microphone and provide your name for the record. Anyone? Nobody? All right, you have the first hand up. Sorry. Come on up.
I'm Tom Abazia, a 30-year-plus resident of Pequannock Township.
I'm
Ladies
sorry,
and gentlemen.
Could you spell your last name?
A-B-A-Z-I-A.
Thank you.
I, like many of our residents of the township, have experienced an unprecedented amount of rainfall over the past 5 months. And before I go on, thank you, Mr. Brewer, for replying to my email of the same theme with regard to the situation. I'm just curious what, if any, planning or thought has gone into the way we manage rainwater in the township. I know on Hopper Avenue and the surrounding areas, most of the catch basins just go into a pit. And intuitively, what I see is you have rain coming in, you have water that we drink coming from outside. It all ends up back in the same ground, and some of us experience it as water in our basements for, now I've been pumping now for 5 months. It's just starting to diminish. So the question is, what, if anything, is being thought about rainwater management or sewering the rest of the town? I did investigate the plan, I think it was from 2020, for that sewering plan. I don't know where that's going, so...
That's for sanitary sewers only. That's not
Okay.
That's not for rainwater. Am I correct by saying that, Mr. Brewer?
Yes.
The sewer master plan? Yeah.
Okay, so there is a plan, will it be up? There's a plan for sanitary sewer, that's great. Is there a timeline on that, or does it just...
Well, we're going to get through all the questions first, and then we're going to answer all the questions after we close the open comment.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you very much.
No problem. I saw the young lady in the back. You had a question? Come on up.
I do. Mary Kay Schmerman, Pompton Plains. I have a question about, we've always had this back and forth about the library and the parking lot and the roof. So the roof is starting to be taken care of, which is great. But at the last meeting, I was at the last meeting, and as I recall, and I take notes at meetings, the new library board lawyer, Mr. Zucker, he was asked pointedly, or he volunteered that the municipality is responsible for taking care of the parking lot. Now, Kyle, I don't know if you remember him saying that or not, but that wasn't part of your report, so I was just wondering if, you had heard that also.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Once, twice? Okay, seeing none. We're closing the open session. With that said, a couple of great questions, actually. Mr. Brewer, would you be able to? When we talk about stormwater, water, flood mitigation, that gets really complex as well.
So in the township of Pequannock, the stormwater system, which conveys rainwater, is separate from the sanitary system. The city of New York, by famous example, has an integrated system, so when it rains a lot, guess what happens? The sanitary master plan was put in place to address expansion of the sanitary system. So that's kind of a separate issue from the rainwater system. With respect to stormwater, the Public Works Department is doing constant work in ditches and drainage, ditches and streams where they can, because there's significant permitting required. But there's regular ongoing projects. They just replaced a number of pipes over by Grow-Right. They're working in an area called 5 Pipes over in the southern section of town to upgrade and expand the ability to move water away, because topographically, as everyone knows, we're a riverbed.
We're a valley.
We have a gravity problem. Luckily, we have really sandy soil, which moves water well, and recently, we've experienced something that's never been recorded before. Approximately 27 inches of rain have fallen more at this point since December 1st. That's compared to 12 inches from January 1st to November 31st of last year. So we've more than doubled the rain in a time period where there's been nothing on the trees to drink the water. So the sponge is just getting fuller and fuller, and it's impacting people that have never been impacted before. And I recall the email now that the gentleman who spoke said before, and the question that I get periodically is, could there be a water main break? Could there be something else? And we always check and look into it, but it's really a significant groundwater. So as of this point, the only thing I can say definitively is we continue to try to manage the areas that move the water, which, as was reported at prior meetings when we've had riverine events, has helped because we have floods that don't expand and have as much damage as they used to. So there's a positive impact there. With respect to the groundwater, other than managing the infrastructure we haven't done any specific planning or put anything in place. For anyone that's familiar with the region, there was a plan, I think, in the 70s or 80s to put a multi-billion-dollar tunnel into Port Newark.
Yeah, I was killed.
Yeah, and there were specific amendments that it's not even allowed to be discussed by members of Congress because Congresswoman Cheryl has brought it up. So it's a challenge. There's no question there's a challenge, and we continue to deal with it. But please feel free to reach out, and if there's anything we can specifically do, or you see something in your neighborhood, Public Works can take a look. With respect to the opinion of the library board attorney, I respect and appreciate his opinion, and it's an interesting subject for discussion.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next on the agenda is approval of minutes. We've got February 27th, budget and regular. We have March 12th, budget and regular. March 26th, regular meeting. Mr. DeRisi, you weren't here. April 9th, regular meeting. So are there any comments on these minutes?
Nope.
None? Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okie dokie. There are no items for closed session. There being no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 7:37 p.m. Thank you, everybody.